having reached the hour of 5:31 p.m., I am calling the June 8th, 2021 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Council members Madrigal.
Here.
Ricky.
Here.
Zalaki.
Here.
Canoyer. Councilmember Canoyer.
Here.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Execution Brayton.
Here.
Mayor Swallen.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Mark Hammond from Celebration Center. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Would you bow your head in prayer? Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you so much for loving us and for protecting us all. Lord, we want to do well for our city and our communities that we serve in. So I pray that we do not allow ourselves to get fatigued in doing good. At the right time, we know we're going to harvest a good crop if we don't give up or quit. I pray every time we get a chance that we work to benefit all. Lord, I believe that you'll guide us in this meeting so the results could be seen days, months, and even years after today. That this year in our city will be a legendary one. We come expecting to make a mark in our city that's significant, but we can only do it with your guidance and with a spirit of unity. So let unity be a common goal tonight. I pray a blessing on each person represented today and ask that you'll give him or her a double portion of wealth, contentment, and health. Let the burden and the load that they carry be light. In all these requests, I give you thanks. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
No, Mayor.
Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, does the city attorney have a report from closed session?
Mayor, the council considered a few items under closed session today. No reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Next is acknowledgements and presentations. I do not believe that, were we going to have a COVID update? All right, I do not see Supervisor Graywall on screen. So we will go to item number 2, our proclamation recognizing June 2021 as Pride Month. And I will read the proclamation. This is recognizing June 2021 as Pride Month. The City of Modesto cherishes the value of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom. And all are welcome in the City of Modesto to live, work, and play. Everyone deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And the City of Modesto joins governmental agencies throughout the nation to observe Pride Month to honor the history of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, plus movement, and to support the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. It is imperative that all people, particularly our youth, in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And this nation was founded on the principle that every individual has infinite worth. And the City of Modesto calls upon the people of this municipality to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice wherever it exists. And now therefore be it resolved, the Modesto City Council hereby proclaims the month of June 2021 as Pride Month in support of the LGBTQ+ community, dated this 8th day of June 2021, signed by me, Suze Wallen, Mayor. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? And this is for items that are not on the council agenda, and each person has 3 minutes to speak. All right, not sure. I see 2 people with their hands raised online. Darlene Ruiz.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here pleading with you and the citizens of Modesto to demand we have an independent police auditor for Modesto Police Department. If Modesto Police Department and City Council want to show our city they're transparent, want to bring trust back to our city, this would be a good start. We cannot fix what we do not acknowledge. If there are no issues, then the city and the police department would have nothing to hide. All of you owe the citizens the transparency and earn the trust and accountability back into our town. I do not understand City Council reluctant to put this on the agenda and demand accountability from our police department. I lost my son 5.5 months ago. What's the holdup? Now another child has been killed by the sheriff's department. I do not understand why this isn't top priority to our city. It's disheartening that it seems to me the City Council is dragging their feet on making changes. Trevor's life mattered. Trevor did not deserve to be shot and killed by a 12-year veteran of the Modesto Police Department. He should have never still been an officer. When our City Council is going to realize and stand up to the broken police department we have an independent police auditor to see what is broken and needs to be fixed. Quit candy coating the issues in our city and address the real problems and dig deep to find the root of the issues so we can fix them. Having a crisis response team will be amazing to our city, but it will not fix anything unless our city council and mayor are willing to address the root issue of our city. We need to stand up and make changes now, please. In honor of my son's life, please help me make some changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I see Gavin Bruce.
Thank you, Council. I would like to echo Darlene Ruiz's demand for independent auditor and accountability system to hold our law enforcement accountable. As she had mentioned, there was just another youth in our community that was killed on May 18th by the name of Xander Mann. He was killed by Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department in a routine traffic stop that turned into a 20-minute long car chase, which, based on what I've read about the incident, should not have turned into a car chase in the first place. It was a carload of, he was 16 and he had other friends in the car who were, from what I understand, age ranges 15 to 18. The sheriffs knew that. You can hear it in their body cam footage that they knew that they were chasing a car full of teenagers. And what ended up happening is they used a maneuver that is only supposed to be used in extreme circumstances when the person being chased is a threat to public safety. They used that to run a carload of teenagers off the road, and they shot and killed Xander Mann, who was driving that night. They pulled him out of the car in front of his friends, and then on top of that, the officer who pulled the trigger, and by the way, Modesto Police Department was also there and participated in this chase. But the sheriff's deputy, who was the one who pulled the trigger, failed to turn on his body camera. Allegedly failed to turn on his body camera, and so we have no actual video evidence of what happened that night. And so we need an independent auditor to come in, audit the Modesto Police Department, and also audit the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department, find out exactly what happened that night, That should never have turned into a chase the way it did. It was a 16-year-old kid and a carload of teenagers, and they could have taken the license plate number and followed up through records and databases to find out who he was. But they chose to instead put the whole community in danger and put the lives of these kids in danger. And they need to be held accountable, and that officer needs to be held accountable for not turning his camera on. If that is indeed what happened, he needs to be held accountable for that. So please get an independent auditor for both Modesto Police Department and the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I see Ray Ruiz.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to touch base on the same subject, and I'm just kind of basically have said the same thing to City Council practically every week I've called in over the last 6 weeks. I would really like you guys just to take a look at Michael Giannaco's group down in Los Angeles as far as the independent police auditor. I really don't know if you guys understand how much money he has saved other cities in Northern California by doing this. Obviously, we need some help, and we're not going to be able to do it ourselves. He's a tremendous group, and I'd really like to see if you guys would really like to listen to what he has to say, what he could do for Modesto. If after you hear what he has to say, and you don't think it would be of interest to our city, then fine. But, you know, I mean, I hear consider every week, but really look into what his team can do for the city and how much money he has saved other cities in Northern California. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I have a blue card from Marjorie Sturdy, but it looks like do you want to speak for something not on the agenda or something that we're going to be talking about later? We're going to talk about Forward Together. I wasn't sure if you were here for that or if, okay, step right up. Thank you.
Council, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. My name is Marjorie Sturdy, and I come here as the president of the Modesto Progressive Democratic Club. So I can assume you all know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it again. We're going to keep saying it until it happens. So as a member of as the president of the Modesto Progressive Democratic Club, I'd like to read the statement that in support of citizen oversight in Modesto. I will shorten it a little. The law enforcement in this community is not trusted. The community has spoken out. They've told you, obviously, in every single city council meeting, how they feel about our law enforcement in this city, as well as the county. Law enforcement can't do their job effectively without trust from the community, and it is very important. You guys have the power to make this happen. We'd really like to see you team up with groups like the NAACP, ACLU, Faith in the Valley's efforts, people that have done the research, that have the template that would work, that not only includes an independent auditor, but also a civilian review and oversight board. We request again and again that this happen as soon as possible. That a listening session, while possibly very good for getting all the information out, is not necessary. We need to make this happen now before another child loses their life. Another mother comes to you crying to make this stop. These officers, I know they want to do a good job. I know they don't want to go home wondering if they're going to get fired, wondering if they're going to get charged with murder. We need to support them as well. And this is the way to do it. Please make this happen as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? All right. Will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item number 3, consider approving the minutes from the June 1st, 2021 council meeting. Item number 4, consider approving the recommended budget adjustments to fiscal year 2020-2021 annual operating and capital improvement program budgets. Item 5, consider amending the cannabis business activity description to properly categorize the cannabis tax on the primary activity and to amend the cannabis tax rates effective July 1, 2021. Item 6, consider approving the awarded bid for the standby rental and/or delivery of bypass pumps DV400C to Western Oilfield Supply Company, DBA Rain for Rent, for an amount not to exceed $60,545. Item 7, consider accepting the Empire Sanitary Sewer Project as complete, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $4,288,105 to Rolf Construction. Item 8, consider accepting the Spencer Avenue Neighborhood Strengthen and Replace Water Mains Project as complete, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $1,314,761 to Rolf Construction. Item 9, consider rejecting all bids for the Cadoni Lift Station Force Main Replacement Project and authorizing staff to re-advertise the project for bids at a future date.
All right, may I have a motion?
Move to approve all consent items.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Canoyer and a second from Councilmember Wright.
Councilmembers Madrigal,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Solaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Iskisha Brayton,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Thank you, and the motion carries unanimously. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports?
No comments.
Councilmember Ricky? You're on mute.
Sorry, thanks, Mayor.
That's all right.
This week, we'll get, by the time we're done with the Zoom thing, we'll get used to this. But anyway, the National App Competition is kicking off. And I'm just really thrilled to be working with our city here to help inspire local students. They're going to get the opportunity to build apps for phones and computers, and the winners get the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. So experiences like this they're life-changing, and if we can show our kids that they can succeed doing work with technology, I think the future for our community will be even brighter. And so I'm also looking forward to working with our friends in Modesto City Schools and our other local school districts to connect this competition with so many of the kids that could really benefit from it. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hope to work with y'all on it. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Councilmember Canoyer?
Yes, I can't find, I'm using my computer and I can't find the hands up button. I would like to comment on a ribbon cutting I went to today, another for a green certificate, and it's always nice to see that so many of our businesses in our communities are getting green certificates from the state, which means that they are helping us reduce our carbon footprint. And also, kind of on a side thing, I would like to thank the Sheriff's Department, if people read in the paper about their bust of illegal marijuana grows, and there were 64 of them. And I know that's a big problem, even though marijuana is illegal, that it is illegal to grow outside of the permits from the city. So I'd like to compliment the Sheriff's Department on that. That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Madrigal, did you have a comment you were going to make?
Real quick, just wanted to report to the council that I attended a legislative action day meeting via Zoom with other city representatives from our Central Valley division of the League of California Cities. We had a legislative meeting with State Assembly member Keith Flora. We advocated for housing solutions, broadband solutions, ongoing, COVID recovery solutions. And in particular, I advocated for more funding for the fireworks disposal program that's administered to the state, to the Office of the State Fire Marshal. In years past, this program has been defunded, and it's put our local fire department, who confiscates illegal fireworks year after year, in a tough position of having to store them somewhere or find a way to store them safely. Just wanted to say I advocated for that. Assemblymember Heath Flora was very receptive. He said they're working on that. I followed up with our local fire marshal here in Modesto the next day, yesterday, and I'm happy to report our Modesto Fire Marshal has informed me that the state funding for the fireworks disposal program through the State Fire Marshal is fully funded this year. So our local fire agency will have a place to take these illegal fireworks and dispose of them safely, especially given that we're, fire season is upon us, and I'm already hearing illegal fireworks going on throughout neighborhoods in my district, and we always want to prevent fires. Also, I wanted to comment, just give huge kudos to our City of Modesto fire crews and any assisting neighboring fire departments for quickly putting out a fire last weekend in my city council district. Actually, they were neighbors of mine just down the street, about a block and a half away. Family, unfortunately, was displaced, but the fire was put out quickly. Nobody was hurt, despite the fact that there was a mother and children inside the home when it was on fire. They were able to be quickly removed by other family members. Anyways, it was a huge fire, and it got put out quickly. Huge thank you today and every day to our fire department. And the one thing I wanted to mention, and just following up on my conversation with the city manager that I had earlier, is if we don't already have like a one-pager or something of available resources for displaced families that are victims of, say, fires or other tragedies, if it doesn't exist, I think I'd like to see staff develop something like that we as council members can either have on hand, or maybe just have it as a PDF that's shareable on our phone for everything from emergency shelter, like Red Cross services, to resources to go buy more clothes, because our clothes were burnt up. Anyways, I apologize if that was something that was given to us in the past and I just can't find it, but I'll just be upfront and say, when I was talking with the family that was displaced by the fire, I felt bad because I didn't have a lot of resources on hand to be able to point them towards, and it was a weekend. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from council members? All right, does the city manager have any comments and reports?
That's not me.
All right, next on the agenda is unfinished business. So we will go to item 10. Consider approving the Forward Together Working Group and listening session themes and directing staff to carry out the appropriate next steps and return to council with recommendations. Thank you. Ms. Barnes.
Mayor and council members, Kalua Barnes, Deputy City Manager. And before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge that we discovered a couple of missing names on the list of organizations that are in the resolution, so we'll be asking that the council consider an amended resolution. So Forward Together, we kind of was born several weeks ago, and kind of bringing it together, we did several things already. We've recruited approximately 24 constituent organizations, and by constituent organizations, we're really focused on groups of organizations that we think represent groups that have kind of a particular stakeholder interest in this process. And we've sought to make a pretty balanced collection of member organizations. We held a listening session on May 22nd. About 44 public comments were provided, and we've actually since set up phone, email, and other ways to communicate, which is on the last slide of this presentation. The goal of the May 22nd listening session really was to get a sense of what the community saw as the issues, and we've described them here as themes. And ultimately, they landed into three overarching buckets or areas of focus, and those are accountability, areas of policies and practices, and alternate response models, which we'll talk a little bit more on the next slides. So some of the member organizations, and the entire list is actually in the staff report and in the resolution, but we've included the NAACP, LGBTQ organizations, the Latino communities, faith communities. Not on this list, we've got neighborhoods with Modesto Neighborhoods, Inc., we've got law enforcement, and we've got several partners from Stanislaus County. Since initially creating the group, we've gotten some feedback, and that feedback is to expand this group by about 4 members that would not necessarily be affiliated with an organization. So the resolution before the council tonight actually includes the addition of those additional 4 community members. And I'll talk about what that looks like in the next step slides. But more about the themes and focuses. So the issue of accountability really is the one that we've heard pretty consistently from public commenters, both at the public comments during the council meetings and then also at the listening session. And that very broad topic, accountability, really speaks and will provide the opportunity for a group of the work group to focus on police conduct, decisions, how they impact the community, and kind of getting into the questions about and concerns about what we might do differently with regard to accountability to improve some of the trust concerns that have been expressed. Secondly, again, some of the things that we consistently hear are those around the area of policies and practices. And that we are looking at, and we think that the group will be able to focus on issues of safety and support, fairness, equity, and that those considerations be part of not just the department, but how the police operate in the community. And then finally, again, we've heard it, that issue of how police and the intersection of behavioral health and homelessness and kind of the non-crisis interactions happen. And so we've described that as an alternate response models, and that really is to ensure the right type of response for the appropriate situation. And so the thinking is that 24 plus another 4, it'll be a pretty big table, but we would expect that working with the facilitator, we may end up sorting them in several groups so that they can each focus in the details in these areas. And so finally, the next steps then are to convene forward together. We've gotten the group. We are planning to open an application process ideally later this week, but we'll open it in time for about 4 weeks for those 4 community members to make application, and then to have those applications available to be considered by the full group at the anticipated July 20th, 2021 first meeting. The Forward Together structure is going to be subject to the Brown Act, so the meetings of the full group will be open meetings. And at this point, we're looking at the possibility of having those meetings in the evenings on the Tuesday nights that the council doesn't meet. So, and once we get started, we feel pretty comfortable that we'll get into a routine of the monthly meetings, as well as to have the subcommittees formed, and they can do the deeper diving as we develop the schedule and move forward. And so the recommendation really, again, it's amended, but it's to approve the Forward Together working group and listening session themes, and then direct staff to carry out the appropriate next steps and return to council with recommendations once those are formed. And with that, happy to answer any questions, and here's the contact information for Forward Together.
All right, thank you. At this time, does the council have any questions?
So just Madam Mayor, Tony here.
Yes, Tony, do you have a question?
So just to repeat back what I heard, so if I get asked by the public, are there going to be more listening sessions? The response is they're going to be ongoing listening sessions on basically the 3rd Tuesday of the month when the city council doesn't meet.
So Councilmember Madrigal, I wouldn't describe them as listening sessions. They will be public meetings, so there'll be a public comment period, but at least the first several meetings will actually be agendas with subject matter experts on various topics, so that there can be this learning that's developed and shared language as they start to develop the recommendations. So just the listening session where nothing else happens and that's the only item on the agenda, those are not scheduled, but certainly at each one of the meetings we'll have an opportunity for public comments.
I see. Well, then I'll just modify my comment. Should I? Like Debbie said, when I get approached, that the first few meetings will focus definitely on public input and listening. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any members of the public that would like to come forward to speak on this topic? Yes, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. So in regards to what my fellow citizen here has to say about coming together, I agree. We do need to come together. But we need to come together underneath the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So I propose, as she has, a group that is taking the Bill of Rights and the Constitution into their own hands and implementing it as a broad swipe across every elected official's agenda, which should be that way. And this is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, okay? There are people now in Arizona that are elected officials that are being held accountable for breaking their oath. What she is saying is that we need to bring in factions that are one-sided. What I've heard here with the NAACP is that we need to bring in factions that are stern and rigid on one course. We're not Americans by taking one course. We're a melting pot for a reason, okay? And I came here tonight because I heard that there is something going on in our community which is called an oversight committee for our PD. I grew up in Modesto, born and raised, right? The PD here has always been fantastic. And I'll say that they are underfunded, not overfunded. And I've had multiple police officers tell me, because I have a lot of police officer friends, that they can't do their job and they worry that they're going to be defunded, okay? How can a man or a woman go out there and uphold law when they have a fear that is welling up in the back of their mind? Now, as far as I'm concerned, the Bill of Rights is very clear. The 9th is people's rights. The 10th is states' rights. That means that we as citizens have more rights than the state, the city council, what have you, on down the list. We are here to let you all know that we're not going to sit back and allow groups to come forward and push a one-sided agenda. I'm sure she means well and she has some good ideas and some bad ideas, as we all do. But there should never be a situation where we're not having a constant conversation from one side to the other, all right? So I'm just letting everybody know that we are going to continue to come into these meetings and to ask that we have open dialogue and questions or anything, and just really get down to what really matters here. And that is that if we don't have law, we don't have order. That order comes through the Constitution. It comes through the Bill of Rights. And these folks in Arizona that have broken their oath are now being under trial. I just went to LA this last week, spoke with some of the lawyers that are preceding these things, these trials, and it is very apparent that we have a, must I say, Marxist communist agenda that is coming into and infiltrating our local governments. Even some council members are open socialists. You know, it doesn't matter what you call yourself, because we all have ideas what we want as freedom, what we call freedom.
There's a 3-minute time limit if you can wrap it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a few minutes, thank you, or moments.
Let me go back and say that we are a melting pot, and I'm not calling everybody, I'm not saying that people have stupid ideas, there's no such thing as that, right? We need to come together as a community, and it's not by coming together underneath the guides of one organization or a cumulative cachet of organizations. It is by taking the people in this community and bringing us together and saying, yes, we have some issues, let's figure it out. So just want to let you guys know that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights reign as supreme here. and nothing else, at the end of the day, nothing else really matters. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a public comment regarding this topic?
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
When we're talking about a police oversight committee of a group of citizens, my question is what do citizens know about policing? It takes years to understand what men and women of law enforcement go through on a day-to-day basis and the sacrifices that they make as civil servants. Are you seriously going to put a bunch of ideologues to monitor your police force? The whole defund the police is trash. Our cities are falling into flames and garbage. Our police need refunded. They need better training. They need more time off. When you are a well-trained person who is in constant conflict on a day-to-day basis, you make smart decisions. When you get thrown into a city like Modesto, which has its issues, I just drove here, your freeways are piling up with homeless people. When you go out and you're not trained, and you're not skilled, and you're not funded, that's when mistakes happen. That's when people make errors. And to speak and say that the community doesn't trust the police, which community? Do you guys abide by the law? Do you have any trust issues with the police? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't have any trust issues. The people who have trust issues are two parts: criminals or those that have been indoctrinated by the media that keeps pushing this agenda saying that the police are white supremacists, that they're evil, that they're systemically racist. It's all garbage. I sat here and listened to two people talk on the opposite side of me. I didn't hear one statistic. I didn't hear one fact. What's the percentages? What's the percentages of your community that's actually under assault? What's the record of those people? How come every single person that I see on the news that's a martyr for a systemically racist police force or a police force that needs renovation, how come every single martyr has a criminal record a mile long with domestic assault, rape, drug sales, gun violence, resisting police? You don't need police oversight. You need to fund your police department correctly. You need to give them paid time off. You need to give them better training. You need to give them better technology. What you're doing is causing issues in our communities, and the more and more that you make police officers feel like they can't go out safely on the streets, the more the citizens will come out, because we're not having it. We're fed up with this crap.
Next, we have Matthew Mason online.
Hello. Less of a comment, more of a couple of questions. Can I?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just to clarify-
Matthew, we will take the questions all at once, and then Ms. Barnes can respond, or I will respond. Thank you.
Perfect. Pull me back in when you do that.
Okay. No, feel free to ask your questions if you'd like to now.
Oh, very well. First, I would like to clarify what the purpose of the working group for the Forward Together initiative is: to make recommendations to the City Council or enact policies. Also, will the working group have representation from the Modesto Police Department and the Sheriff's Department? And what will their role be if there is representation? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public that would like to address us on this topic? This item now? Item number 10? All right, we will respond with the answers to those questions, and then we will hear council comments.
Thank you. So a couple of comments that I wanted to at least follow up on. One is the notion that we've actually created a group that is biased with a specific outcome. The goal really, when we created this group, it's actually very broad, 24. It includes business, the business community, faith organizations. There is no skewing here. And the goal really then, there's a question about fact-based, and the goal really is to actually understand what the issue is here in Modesto, understand how our police operate, and then work together on solutions. The question about the working group then is essentially for them to come together, develop a similar understanding. I think we've had a fair amount of comments where there's a piece of information and we want actually this group to be working together with a shared understanding to then develop recommendations, whatever those recommendations are, without any predetermination about what they might be. And the question was about the involvement of the Modesto Police Department and the Sheriff's Office, and the answer is yes. We have partners. The Police Department will have representation on this group, as will the Sheriff's Office, and the goal really is about collaboration and understanding. One of the speakers made a comment about how the average person or the general public doesn't understand about policing. We don't actually challenge that statement. That's why we would actually want to have them in the room so that questions that are asked can be made clear, what the processes are can be explained by the folks who are actually doing it. And so we see the solution going forward is really to have a really big tent of alternative perspectives and understandings, and then to develop some recommendations that will be specific and appropriate for Modesto.
All right.
And I'll also add just one other thing. We have added 4 at-large positions for which members of the community can apply. Those individuals will be selected by the committee, but we wanted to make sure that this is a broad representation of our community to make sure that the input is received from all corners. So for those that have spoken here tonight, I would encourage you guys to submit your application if you want to be a part of the process. All are welcomed here, and there are no predetermined conclusions that have been drawn. We just want to come together to have a better understanding of the best way to police our city. Thank you.
Thank you. I wondered and would like to open it up now to council comments. Is there anyone from the council that would like to make a comment at this time? You have any? All right. All right.
Mayor, I do have a comment.
Okay, all right. Councilmember Wright will make a comment, and then if you would like to make another comment, that's...
Yeah, I think the goal is not to defund the police. We know that the police are underfunded. That is something that we're really concerned about. Our goal is to make sure we have better communication with our citizens and our police department. And I think one of the goals is to see how the information from the police department, how we can help them on certain types of individuals that they may not have the training to take care of. So there's areas that we need to look at to see what we can do to help them. So I don't think this is about defunding the police. This is about helping the police do a better job.
All right.
I got a comment.
All right, council member, why don't we typically we hear questions from council, then comments from the public, and close the public comment period, and then go back to council for comments, and then we vote. But if there's someone that would like to make another comment from the public, and then we will go back and finish with council comments. Because it's most important that the council respond after hearing from everyone that would like to speak from the public.
If we do not have a blue card, they need to articulate their name or if they
right, yeah. And typically we have everyone fill it. Okay, hold on, Councilmember Madrigal. Usually we have people fill out a blue card so that we know your name.
And can we ask your name, please?
Jason Thompson.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
So the comment was made that it's going to be bipartisan. We have these businesses, we have these faith-based groups, which I don't even know what that means. No, those are all hand-picked by a certain person. And then the statement was made, sir, that you're attempting to help your police understand how to police better. Did they ask for that help? Are they asking for the help? Am I allowed to ask questions of the people?
No, not really at this time. It's
Okay.
not a back
That's
and
fine.
forth.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
see,
feel free to
I don't
say-
see that
say
them
what you
asking for help from a group of businesses, faith-based organizations, so on and so forth. I think they need help from you, sitting up here. Not citizens handpicked out of the community with one ideology, whether you want to deny it or not. That's all I have to say. I've heard zero facts. I've heard zero statistics. I know what they are. We see what's going on here. This is right out of the playbook. We're watching.
Thank you. Council Member Wright, did you have another comment? No. All right. Council Member Madrigal?
So there's no, just want to make sure there's nobody else from the public that's going to come and speak? Is that part closed?
Yes.
Can I just ask how we apply for that position?
Sure. We have one more comment from the
How
public.
we apply for those positions that you guys
Okay.
Sure. Hold on, Tony.
I'll hold my horses.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Barnes.
So we're actually working with staff. We'll do some items on, we'll do something on social media. You'll probably do a press release, and it'll have the application that will be online on the city's website where boards and commissions are. So we'll have it open about 4 weeks, so there'll be lots of time for people to find their way there and then to apply. And then, of course, that last slide is actually in the copies outside, but that has ways to reach us as well.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Councilmember Madrigal?
I just wanted to share briefly that, you know, when we start discussing, you know, for lack of a better word, when we start sharing comments amongst ourselves and making comments about defunding the police, when there hasn't been discussion amongst our council about defunding the police, that's when you start to have misinformation out there. And as far as, you know, to my knowledge, this city council of Modesto, in my tenure, has never talked about defunding the police. You know, I'll be happy to stand corrected, but I just want to clarify that that has not been said here. I think, like many, I'll speak for myself. You know, I value the service that our police department provides to our community, keeping us safe. We get it. It's important. People need to feel that they can rely securely and safely on the services of the police when they call 911, when they need those services. I get it. And so I just wanted to make that comment in the context of this other process that we're going through, where we are being responsive not only to the needs of our police department through the budget process, which is a huge way that we demonstrate our funding and support of the police, which we just did a few weeks ago, but also in response to our community. And so putting it into that context, I'm looking forward to this process of us moving forward together, because I don't believe that there's such a thing as too much input. The business, if you will, the service that government provides to the community, whether it's, you know, turning on, whether it's water coming out of your tap when you turn on your water faucet, whether it's emergency services showing up when you call 911 for emergency services, whether it's making sure that, you know, the potholes and whatnot are fixed. Those are myriad of services that are delivered through funding, through taxes that are collected, and through input from the community on what ought to be our priorities as the city of Modesto and the kind of city that we want to have. And so to have one additional process where we receive input from the community about how, in this case, we ought to police ourselves as a city, is one more process that we're going to be going through, that I appreciate that we are going to be, as a council, supporting and saying, let's move forward together and let's listen to what the people have to say also. Not only, but also. This is not an either or approach that we're taking. I don't see it that way. This is an and, like an and this solution and that solution. Anyway, those are my comments. I want to say I look forward to voting on this, or I'll be happy to make a motion to move approval. if I can.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. Any other comments from council members?
Is that approval with the amendment?
I have my hand up, Mayor.
Yes, okay, Councilmember Ricky?
Yeah, I just want to say that the goal of this is to make the community safer and to make policing more effective. And that's just not anti-police at all. And the fact of the matter, you want facts. I mean, the fact of the matter is no one on this council has ever mentioned defunding the police, so that's a fact. So let's talk about actual facts. And I'll second Councilmember Madrigal's motion.
All right, thank you. I wanted to make one brief comment that this is something that as a city, actually the people in the room that decided to go forward with this initiative Forward Together were our interim chief of police with me, with Vice Mayor Escudia Brayton, with our city manager, and with Ms. Khalil Barnes. We made the decision to do this together because we feel that this is the way to make our city the best that it can be and the safest that it can be. So I am really looking forward to the process and hearing everyone and making our city a place that we love. I was born and raised here. I worked over 40 years as an emergency room nurse, side by side with law enforcement, firefighters, highway patrolmen, first responders, to make our city safe. And that's what I continue to plan to do in this role. So thank you everyone for your input. And I will turn it over to our city attorney, Jose Sanchez, to discuss the amendment. And then we have a motion from Council Member Madrigal and a second from Council Member Ricky.
And I have a comment.
All right, Council Member Zalaki.
Thank you. I just wanted to chime in, Mayor, along with you, and having worked with you and all the council members in trying to figure out a process in order to, as it's stated, move forward. Hearing the comments tonight are very interesting in the facts that the broader group has now spoken. And at the same time, we've had lots of input coming in. I don't think we'll ever have a perfect process, but I think what we're trying to do is to get something that is inclusive enough that we can reach out into the broader community and hear from the broader community. I'm one of those that would agree that the funding issue is, and no one has on the council stated defunding the police. In fact, I'm of the belief that even as one of the speakers spoke, that we have a funding issue in the department and it's underfunded. It's a mere fact that we are down about 1/3 of our sworn police officers. And it's a fact that they are working and putting extra time and overtime. Training is, I don't know where it is, but it is a challenge. And keeping retention here in our community, when we were close to 300 officers, now we're about 199, is a problem that should be addressed and discussed, and coming up with a resolution of what are we going to do about funding when we're already 80% of the budget for public safety, so the general fund budget. So I agree with you, Mayor, that we're moving forward to come up with a solution. There's not a prevalent ideology that I see. There's different factions that have strong opinions, obviously, but I haven't seen that fact, and that's what as we're proceeding now, is taking that step to go into the next step of working with a broad group within the city and coming up with a resolution that is inclusive enough that hopefully it represents what the city is about and what the makeup of the city is about. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Zalaki. Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, Mayor, just wanted to go over the amendments, and I know maybe Deputy City Manager Barnes can just also, for the record, mention the 2 groups that will be added to the list in the resolution.
The 2 additions to the resolution are adding the public defender, Laura Arnold, and the Sheriff's Department, Jeff Dirksey.
Perfect. And then there will be an additional change that didn't make it into the resolution. It is in the staff report. It does mention the 4 members from the community. That we want to make very clear in the resolution. We will be adding, for council consideration, another section of the resolution to state, be it further resolved that the Forward Together Working Group will review applications for 4 additional members from the community and consider and approve the appointments at an open meeting of the working group. And if I know there was a motion already in a second, if the maker of the motion can simply have just a motion, so it could be as amended if that's his preference, and then also if the council member that seconded the motion, if they would agree as well.
I'll be happy to amend the motion to say as amended, as stated here by the city attorney.
Thank you. Councilmember Ricky, you have the second, as amended? All right, so we have a first from Councilmember Madrigal and a second from Councilmember Ricky as amended, and we ask the city clerk to call for the roll.
Councilmembers Madrigal?
Aye.
Ricky?
Aye.
Zalaki?
Aye.
Canoyer?
Aye.
Wright?
Aye.
Iskusha Brayton?
Aye.
Mayor Swallen?
Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda is hearings. Item number 11, a hearing to consider approving the annual rate adjustment to the maximum rate schedule for city solid waste collection services for an increase of 79 cents per month for residential services, an increase of $6.56 per cubic yard for commercial services, and a decrease of $14.78 per pull for industrial services, increasing the compost facility tip fees for Modesto customers from $30.35 per ton to $38 per ton, and for green waste diversion from $16.90 per ton to $21.13 per ton, and for outside Modesto customers from $60 to $75 per ton to become effective July 1st, 2021, and rescinding resolution number 2020-533 and 2020-359, and amending the portion of resolution 2020-248 pertaining to the $60 tip fee. And thank you, staff, for your upcoming report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Zwallen and members of the City Council. My name is Karen Neep. I'm your Integrated Waste Manager for the City of Modesto. Tonight, we're presenting the annual garbage rate review, and I wanted to explain a little bit about our garbage service. The City of Modesto contracts with 2 private haulers, Bertolotti Disposal and Jilton Solid Waste. Both companies have been in our area for many years. Jilton Solid Waste was incorporated in 1947 and Bertolotti Disposal in 1989. City of Modesto has currently approximately 57,000 residential customers and 11,000 businesses that are serviced. Jilton Solid Waste services about 2/3 of the city, and Bertolotti services about 1/3 of the city. This was decided by City Council back in 2007, and there is a designated service area map that Council approved. Our garbage rate setting process is outlined in the Modesto Municipal Code as well in the haulers service agreements. We have a pretty straightforward process. The garbage rates are to be reviewed annually by July 1st. The council has allowed, back in 2006, for fuel charges to be reviewed on a quarterly basis if necessary due to the validity of the fuel prices that have occurred over the last 10 years. The haulers must provide the city with their audited financial statements within 120 days at the close of the end of the fiscal year. Once we receive those audited financial statements, our solid waste staff and our finance department budget staff complete a forensic review and compare the statements against previous years. We're looking for anomalies, we're looking for errors, we're looking for significant changes in expenses or revenues. If we find such things, we question the haulers, we ask for explanations, sometimes corrections need to be made. We then key in information into a spreadsheet that we had provided for us by a consultant that did our solid waste rate study back in 2017. They basically validated our rate study process and gave us a working spreadsheet that would help us produce the rates on a regular basis. This rate process utilizes the lowest cost hauler. That lowest cost hauler mechanism allows for built-in competition between the two companies so that they compete against each other to make it fair for both of them. The city then takes the base rate for the lowest cost hauler, and we add our own fee requirements in, which sustain our operations, our projects, things like Carpenter Road landfill maintenance, and then a new rate is developed. We only post a 10-day rate notice for hearing in the paper, which is required under law. Our council, you approve the maximum rate that the haulers can charge. They can certainly charge less than the maximum for each sector. They just cannot change within sectors. They can't do one rate for residential and another rate for residential. They have to be consistent. So this annual rate review is based on the audited financials that were for fiscal year 1920. So they would have ended in June 20. Currently, as you see on your screens, the current garbage rate, the base rate, is $30.50, and our tacked on fees for our current total residential rate right now of $36.66. We are proposing to increase that by 79 cents, and you can see the various fees that we're adjusting up or down. 16 cents of that 79-cent increase does include a fuel adjustment that would have happened a quarter ago, but we look at their overall fuel and we adjust that as well. So 16 cents of the residential rate is for fuel. You'll see the subsequent fees, recycling, green waste, Carpenter Road, and Gear Road that are added in for the city for a total increase of the residential rate by 79 cents to a new rate of $37.45. On our commercial maximum rates, these rates are calculated by 1 cubic yard bin that's picked up one time a week. Our current rate that we have in the city of Modesto is $47.53. We're proposing a $6.56 increase. Last annual rate review, we did decrease the rate substantially, but due to COVID and the less amount of pickups that the haulers were able to spread their costs by, the rate actually ended up going up. Part of that is also attributed to fuel, and so you'll see a 32-cent fuel adjustment upwards as part of that $6.56. Our industrial drop box rates, which are the big construction boxes you see, big box stores use them for their materials. They come in 10 yards to 40 yards. We set the maximum rates for pickup charge and rental only. The hauler negotiates directly with the customer for the disposal charges. So our current base rate for a drop box is for a pickup of a drop box is $445.97. It's proposed to decrease. We decreased it last time as well. It's decreasing by $14.78 for a new proposed pickup only rate of $431.19. We are also looking at making an adjustment to our compost tip fee. The tip fee is what companies pay when they go across the scale to the facility when they deliver material. Our current tip fees at the facility are $30.35 a ton for anything coming in from the city of Modesto or Modesto area, $16.90 per ton for our own city forestry green waste crews, and $60 a ton for outside of Modesto entities that want to come utilize our facility. Our facility is currently facing huge expenses and is underfunded when it comes to dealing with our costly equipment repairs, and our equipment needs to be retired. The increasing amount of regulatory issues from Cal Recycle that focused primarily on organics, and an infrastructure that needs to be redone in order to stay up with state demands. We also face a high level of contamination from residential and commercial containers. This has been a problem for 20 years. We continue to move on our education programs, go social media routes, try to utilize every method we can. But at the end of the day, our plastics and our glass and our non-compostables are out of control, and we need to remove them. So the increase that we are talking about doing is raising our tip fee for Modesto from $30.35 a ton to $38 a ton, from $16.90 per ton to $21.13 per ton for our city green waste and forestry crews, and for outside Modesto customers from $60 a ton to $75 a ton. This increase provides the amount of revenue that we need to strictly get rid of the plastics, glass, and overs that are coming into our facility. It's the only purpose for that money coming in, and it costs about $270,000 per year to do that. So the staff recommendation is consider approving the annual rate adjustment to the maximum rate schedule for city solid waste collection services provided by the garbage haulers, for an increase of 79 cents per month for residential services, an increase of $6.56 per cubic yard for commercial services, and a decrease of $14.78 per pull for industrial services, and increasing the compost facility tip fee from $30.35 per ton to $38 per ton, and the green waste diversion tip fee from $16.90 per ton to $21.13 per ton, and the outside Modesto tip fee from $60 per ton to $75 per ton, to become effective July 1, 2021.
All right, thank you
With that,
very
I'd be
much.
happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions from council members?
I do have a question, Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Focusing on the tip fee adjustment on your fourth bullet, the compensation to Bertoloni's for the, on the three categories. In terms of those rates, what on an average month would be the total change, the total increase in rate that is being proposed? Increase is being proposed in those three different categories, correct?
Correct.
For 1 month, based on the level of customers, because Bertoloni has a third of the customers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how much are we talking about?
Well, we're going to overall generate $270,000 by all of these tip fee increases. And all of that money will go directly to, it's about $70,000 roughly will go to pay invoices to Bertolotti Disposal for their collection of the hauling away of the plastics. The rest will be split between Fink Road landfill bills and hauling company bills. So Bertolotti Disposal brings in approximately 6,366 tons. Jilton Solid Waste brings in about 28 to 30,000 tons. That's on an annual basis. So
Isn't this specifically to ensure the overs removal will continue on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis throughout the whole year, yes. That 270 is an annual number.
It's an annual number.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions from council members? All right, seeing none, any comments from the public? I don't see any online or...
Motion to approve?
All right, so we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Wright and a second from Councilmember Canoyer. Can we ask for the roll call?
Councilmembers Madrigal,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Zalaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Escusha Braden,
Hey.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye, it carries unanimously. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation. All right, the next is item number 12, a hearing to consider adopting the 2020 Joint Urban Water Management Plan as required by the state's water code and adopting the City of Modesto Water Shortage Contingency Plan update. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is Will Wong, Utilities Director, and tonight we bring a hearing to you regarding the city's Joint Urban Water Management Plan. The Urban Water Management Plan is required by the California Water Code to be prepared every 5 years in order for the city to qualify for any future grants or loans that are that we can fund studies and water-related projects. With me tonight, I have Jim Alves. He was the city's project manager, working with MID and our consultant West Joseph Associates to prepare this plan that will carry us through the next 5 years in terms of water planning. And with that, I'll be passing this on to Jim Alves.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Will. Jim Alves, Assistant Civil Engineer, Water Resources Engineering Group. So yeah, we started this probably about 8 months ago, but it's been a really quick effort to get this done in time per DWR standards. So I want to thank right away Modesto Irrigation District, their staff, our water operations staff, key people there for their help, upper management for their direction and input, and also our consultant West Yost, Amy Kwan, project manager for West Yost, for their critical role and resources in getting this done. All right, so the Urban Water Management Plan, really, the point of it is to evaluate water supply and demand through 2045. Why 2045? Well, the state requires us to conduct a 20 to 25 year planning horizon. This evaluates the availability of and reliability of water supplies to meet our current and our future projected demands. This also informs as a basis of any water supply assessments that we may conduct for future developments that are required to do so. And this document is due by DWR by July 2021, Department of Water Resources by July 2021. Next slide. So why should we do an up? Well, first and foremost, it's required by the Urban Water Management Planning Act, AB 797, per the current water codes there. It applies to water suppliers like ourselves who directly or indirectly serve more than 3,000 customers or deliver more than 3,000 acre-feet of water per year, which we clearly do. This is, like Will said, it's required every 5 years, indeed in years 0 and 5, with submittals the following July, so July of 2021 this year. This also keeps us eligible for various states' grants and loans. In 2020, the city served 74,040 connections, approximately 270,000 customers, and we delivered 53,100 acre-feet of potable water to our customers. So why do a joint plan with MID? Well, MID provides City of Modesto with critical surface water from the Tuolumne River, which they treat at their Modesto Regional Water Treatment Plant in Waterford. MID is also required to submit an urban water management plan because they provide more than 3,000 acre-feet of water supply for municipal purposes. The city and MID have historically developed joint urban water management plans going back several years now. And this has allowed us to simplify our required efforts, coordinate our more closely our urban water processes, and it's actually saved some money by doing a joint plan. This plan doesn't supersede MID district or city council authorities in land use planning or anything else. It's strictly a plan that allows us to show the state that we have adequate water supplies and demands, and if we don't, how do we address that? The City of Modesto abide by the 2005 amended and restated delivery agreement, the ARTDA, as our founding document for delivering the water to the city. Next step. Here's some key components of our document. I'm not going to read through them all, but you can see that these are the various chapters address the key things that we need in the plan. One thing important is it includes a drought risk assessment, which is something new. It also includes our water conservation plan. One of the things that we were required to do back in 2010 was comply with the Water Conservation Act, SBX 7-7. In 2009, the state enacted this mandate for us to set targets for 2015 and 2020 for gallon per capita use, per person use. In 2010, we set some targets, and as you can see from the chart on the right there, 2010, we set a 2015 target and a 2020 target. As you can see, we've met those targets significantly. We had a chance 2015 to change those. We kept them the same, and we're way under what our targets were. Here's a graph showing our historical and projected water demands. Last year, again, 53,100 acre feet of water, and these are the projections out to 2045. This presumes no reductions in our demands, and it presumes a 1% annual population growth rate. Our projected water supplies come from two sources. Again, surface water from Tuolumne River, MID. This is treated at our plant east of Waterford. We purchased this water from MID. The capacity of the plant is currently up to 67,200 acre feet. So per the ARTDA, we could have a supply up to 67,200 acre feet as it currently is assumed. This may be reduced in dry years, this year being one of those years where we have some reductions. Our other major source of supply is groundwater from city wells. We set an operational yield back in 2007 or 8 of about 53,500 acre feet a year. That was a number we came up with that felt the basin would be sustainable. And that was prior to 2016. Because we no longer serve Waterford and Hickman communities, we've reduced that amount to 51,500 acre feet per year as our, we think, a sustainable groundwater take. Next slide. One of the other requirements by the state for urban water management plan is a water shortage contingency plan. Now, Modesto's had one of these water shortage plans for decades. The plan is to prepare and respond to water shortages, a drought or something else, maybe more drastic. This is in Appendix J of the 2020 UMP, and it may be updated independently from the UMP, which is why we're going to recommend it be adopted by separate resolution. What we've done is we've updated that plan to conform to the state's new standard water shortage stages. Our plan had 4 stages of cutbacks. The state wanted 6. To make it easier, we revised ours to have 6 stages of cutback, including one exceeding 50% loss of our supply. It also addresses new requirements for annual water supply and demand assessments, which we will now have to do every year starting next July. The good news is that one of the conclusions coming out of the plan is that our water supplies are adequate through 2045. The UMP demonstrates that our supplies can meet the existing and projected water demands through this time period with a combination of purchased water from MID and groundwater from our own wells. And this remains true for normal and dry year conditions, including a 5-year drought period, all the way through this period. Even a 5-year drought in 2040, we feel we have adequate supplies. Here's a table of the outreach and key dates that we conducted during the work we did, including various notices and outreach efforts to our stakeholders and agencies we serve. And on May 3rd, we went to the Economic Development Committee with our report, and it was recommended to move on to council. Here we are on June 8th. On May 24th, we put out our public notices in the paper and our stakeholders, advising that we were going to adopt the plan. And at June 8th, we're here tonight. This morning, MID held their board meeting to adopt the plan, and they adopted their plan unanimously. And so next, going forward, is our July 1 submittal, and then 30 days after that, providing the document to their agencies we serve. And so our proposed action items tonight are, after any public comments, to conclude the public hearing for the 2020 and the Modesto Water Shortage Contingency Plan, and recommend by separate actions the adoption of our 2020 Urban Water Management Plan and our Modesto Water Shortage Contingency Plan. And with that, I have any questions?
All right. Do we have any? Thank you very much for your presentation. Any questions from council members?
I have a question.
All right, Councilmember Wright.
Jim, thank you for your presentation. Very thoughtful and a lot of good information. So I know every once in a while we have wells that go bad. So do you project, are you projecting from now until 2045 on what wells may go bad? And do you have an indication that you may have wells go bad?
Yeah, the document, the Urban Water Management Plan is kind of a broad document. So it doesn't account for any individual wells going in or out. It really looks at our overall supply. So in the document itself, you won't see any narrative of wells going out of service or not. However, as Will can attest, and I'll speak to that, we do anticipate that we will have issues with wells based on water quality and whatnot. And I'm going to let Will talk about how we have a program in place to address that. Will?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question, Councilmember Wright. So yeah, we do plan or anticipate that we do have wells go out of service. And so that's why we do have in our capital improvement program replacement of certain wells in particular areas. So again, what Jim had pointed out in the presentation is that we have a sustainable yield of about 51,500 acre feet. And if a well goes out, we just need to replace that well with another well that of equal capacity so that we can maintain that operational yield. So yeah, unfortunately we do have wells go bad, but we do have a program now, and I've taken several council members to a couple of those wells that we have replaced wells that have gone bad. So the Grogan well at Tivoli is one of those replacement wells that will pump enough water to meet our operational yield.
And when a well goes bad like that, do you increase your flow from MID?
No, that's a very good question too. And the good thing is, what Jim had pointed out in the presentation is that we have accessibility to a lot of surface water and groundwater. And as in the beginning of the presentation, our groundwater, the amount of water the city of Modesto used was 53,000 acre feet, over the whole entire city of Modesto. And if our groundwater operational yield is 51,000 acre feet, and we have about 33,000 acre feet available for MID, if you do the math, we do have about 80,000 acre feet worth of water that we can access. So if a well goes out, we actually do have enough groundwater wells to help supplement that, even with any cutbacks from MID.
And how long does it take you to drill and get a new well up and running?
From design to construction, it takes about 3 years.
About 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from council members? All right, seeing none, any comments from the... Oh, okay, Councilmember Madrigal.
Yes, just sort of on a more broader basis, from Councilmember Wright's questions, I just wanted to ask in general, like, what's the when you say, sustainable yields of groundwater, like if I'm trying to formulate the question based on how I've been approached. I guess the short way of saying it is, like, what's our projected, supply of groundwater versus surface water over do you have can we say, oh, we have plenty of groundwater to last us until this year? You see what I'm getting at?
I think so, Councilman Madrigal. So in order for us to meet our demands, we practice what we call conjunctive use, a blend of both surface water and groundwater. And as we pointed out, the operational yield, how much we can extract from the ground without affecting the groundwater levels, is about 51,000 acre feet. So as we look at our numbers, and right now we are facing a drought. We feel that based on our groundwater levels and our operational yield, as well as much water as MID is supplying us, even with a 14% cutback, we do have adequate water supply right now for our customers, and then we can project that out for a number of years. However, I will also warn that if we do have another drought, we can still see cutbacks from MID, which we'll have to reassess our numbers back then, because it is a water balance that we try to maintain to ensure that we meet all demands of our customers.
And that's where the water shortage contingency plan comes into play in our robust water conservation program, where the city, with Will's direction, has a variety of tools to reduce our demands as necessary to meet the supply available. But groundwater, for the most part, the ability, especially in a short period of time, a couple of years, the ability to pump more groundwater to lessen some of the pain is available for us. And one of the things that we do, if you saw our water conservation plan, our water management plan last year, our water
a lot of water plans.
Our water system master plan that was adopted last year. That document looks at the facilities necessary to continue to serve our customers, existing and growth. So that includes, again, drought, how many wells we're going to need, where we need those wells, the tanks, the conveyance system. So the water master plan actually talks about the facility necessary to provide that water to our customers. This document here, the Urban Water Management Plan, really just talks about the supply and demand side of it.
All right.
I
Any
have
other
a follow-up
comments?
question.
All right.
So
question
I had
from
the
Councilmember Wright.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I had the privilege of touring our wastewater plant over in Grayson, which was really impressive. So are we using any of that water to rejuvenate the groundwater?
Very good question. So all the wastewater that is generated by the City of Modesto flows through the Modesto wastewater treatment plants. We have a tertiary treatment facility, or otherwise known as a recycled water treatment facility, that cleans it near drinking water levels. Unfortunately, that plant is about 7 miles away from downtown Modesto. So economically, it's very difficult for us to pump that back. However, we do have a partner in the Del Porto Water District who actually takes every single drop, and this year they need every single drop they can take. We actually generate revenue by selling recycled water, and by doing so, it reduces their reliance on groundwater pumping. So essentially, by selling the recycled water, we actually do offset a little bit of the extreme groundwater pumping that many agencies are going to see this year, because we found an innovative way to recycle the water.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Further questions from council members? All right. Any comments from the public regarding this item? And we have two resolutions tonight. So the first one, I need a motion for resolution. The first one, resolution adopting the 2020 Joint Urban Water Management Plan is required. by the state's water code and instructing staff to submit the final 2020 joint urban water management plan to the Department of Water Resources by July 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilmember Wright, second by Councilmember Escutia-Brayton, and maybe we have the roll call.
Councilmembers Madrigal,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Solaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Carries unanimously. The second resolution is adopting the City of Modesto Water Shortage Contingency Plan update and instructing staff to submit as part of the final 2020 Joint Urban Water Management Plan to the Department of Water Resources by July 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Escutia-Brayton,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Canoyer. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Madrigal,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Solaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.